Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure now to introduce Justice David Stratas. Justice Stratas sits on both the Federal Court of Appeal and the Court Martial Appeal Court of Canada, where he was appointed Acting Chief Justice in 2023. He is a prolific writer and educator, and in his spare time, he expends considerable energy on the thankless task of trying to make all of us better writers. He has written many papers on this topic. I'm sure many of you have read them to great benefit. If you have not, the conference materials are a good place to start. Thank you so much for being here, Justice Stratas, to give us your insights on effective written advocacy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Slide, please. Slide, boom. Slide. There we go. Introduction. All I want to say is a big thank you from those of us who do not do very much criminal law. You folks are the backbone of our democracy, and what you do in courts day after day after day, defending those accused of offenses. My hat goes off to you, and from many of my colleagues as well, so thank you. And boy, is it complex. What I'm going to talk about is to try your best when you write to each other and to a court to keep it simple. There are dividends for that. I'm going to give you some very simple, quick tips. Slide. Though here's the golden rule of all writing. You're always writing for your audience. It's always about your audience. It's never about you. You know those times when you're typing in front of the keyboard and you say, oh, I like how that looks. It looks good to me. That's wrong. Absolutely wrong. It's not about you. You should be asking yourself, my audience, whether it's the other side or a judge, how will they react to your writing? It's never about you. Slide. What you need to do, it's kind of obvious, but it's useful to just make sure we're all on the same page. You need to educate the audience. The audience may not know as much about your case, particularly on the facts, as you do. You need to give it confidence in you. Your style of writing gives confidence. You need to make it easy for the audience. You know, everybody who reads writing, and it's not voluntary reading, it's sort of work reading, everyone considers themselves busy and wants to get through your writing as quick as possible. And what you want to do is just empower the person you're speaking to use the information to your client's advantage. You never want to write something in such a confusing way that they wrestle with it and ultimately disengage with it and form a bad impression of you. Slide. Only one style works for all the audiences you write. As diverse as judges may be, only one style is appreciated: clear, direct, and brief. And that's my mantra. And if you forget everything I say, but just remember those three words, I'll consider this a success. Slide. Let's talk about judges, my colleagues. It's like any other audience. We actually like to read material that we understand, that's easy to get through. We don't like turgid prose where, you sort of make it all pompous and legal. We don't say, oh, wow, this person must be smart. They're speaking to me in legalese. That's not how we think. Usually, because of the workday and the distractions in it, a lot of our reading is in the evenings when we're pretty tired and there's other distractions. And in your field, sometimes because of court registries, they only read your writing as soon as they enter the courtroom. So they're going to read fast. They're going to read quick. You need to make it easy for them for that reason too. Again, only one style works: clear, direct, and brief. Slide. Okay, let's Be practical now. At the document level, there's one main principle. The great John I. Laskin called it point-first writing, or context before detail. And at the sentence level today, I'm going to give you 3 really easy rules. If you implement even just one of them, I promise you it will actually transform your writing. Slide. This idea of point first is the idea that you say what you're going to do at the outset in your writing or at the beginning of a particular section in your writing. In effect, you say what you're going to do, you're making a promise, later you're going to keep that promise. That's called point first writing. And sometimes you need to give a little bit of detail so that the reader, at the beginning, so that the reader can understand where you're coming from. Slide. Why does point first work? Well, you know, psychological studies show that readers absorb information best if they understand its significance as soon as they see it. And if you don't do that, they start wrestling with your prose, get impatient, and sometimes disengage. I throw work across my living room all the time. You get very frustrated. And I'm sure you do too when you read crap from the other side. Let me try an experiment. Imagine this is a factum. A, E, I, M, Q, U, Y. Okay, what just happened there? You stopped listening to me, some of you, and you started trying to figure out the pattern. You might have thought, what the hell is Stratas on about? What's the pattern? You disengaged from me. You stopped listening to what I was saying. Let me transform. And when you do that, you're an adversary to me. You're actually saying, what's he talking about? You're not on my side. Slide. How about this? Point first. I'm going to give you every 4th letter of the alphabet. And then as I mention each letter, A, E, M, you're no longer disengaged from my prose. You're no longer wrestling with my prose. You're actually sitting next to me, verifying what I'm telling you. I've transformed you from a potential critic, someone potentially hostile in a sense, to a verifier. How good is that? That's called advocacy. Slide. Now, bad news for you. A little bit of bad news before I give you some good news. There's lots of people who teach legal writing, and they, for interest in good teaching reviews, they like telling you gimmicks and the fun parts, like how to make flowery prose and quotable quotes and that sort of thing. I can teach that too, but I'm afraid, you know, if you're going to construct a wall, you need good bricks. If you're going to construct a good document, you're going to need good sentences. So my instruction today, very much focused at the sentence level. Next. Here's my 3 rules for good sentences. Eliminate wimpy words. Sounds funny? It's true. Second, use one plain good word if you can. And third, concentrate on connections. I'm going to go through each of these. I call them rules just for clarity. You can always break rules for good reason. Slide. The biggest wimpy word is the verb to be. To be is exist. It is the water of beverages of words. It is really boring. It doesn't say much. Other examples are make, in the sense of make a decision, and you see others on this slide. Next. The idea here is, wherever possible, see if you can get rid of wimpy words, particularly the verb to be, and see if you can use something flavorful. It works for nouns, but I'm going to talk about verbs. Slide. There are a whole family of these WIMPs, the verb to be, am, are, is, was, were, be, being, becoming, became. See if you can edit sentences and get rid of those. Slide. Compare these 2 versions. Now, people who know their grammar will call this the passive voice. That's exactly what it is. But if you get rid of the verb to be, you're going to get rid of the passive voice. Look at the bad version. It was said. For a moment, reader says, by who? By who? Yeah, it's not very long, but there's a pause. was said by the Supreme Court that the law must be changed. Compare it with the direct voice. The Supreme Court said Parliament must change the law. A couple of observations. Instantly, there's a word saving. Here, in this example, 23%. And there's a mood going on. In the bad version, the meaning of the sentence kind of slipped in at the end, sort of sneakily, and it's a little bit vague. It leaves the reader a touch hanging. Okay, now, I know some of you are just saying, Stratas, what are you on about? It's just like a sentence and it's just a 3-word saving. Here's the problem. Those of you that are addicted to the verb to be, to things called nominalizations and the passive voice, you're going to do it all through your document. And so in effect, a 30-page factum is suddenly, a 23-page factum is suddenly 30 pages because you're absolutely addicted to it. And the overall impression is anti-advocacy. It has an evasive tone. Use the good version. And you see, the good version, we've gotten rid of the verb to be. Slide. Look, suppose after tonight I'm going to go to a bar in Toronto. I like the odd drink, especially on a Friday, and someone walks up to me and says, "You will be made to be moved by this baseball bat." I'll probably laugh at them. I'll be beaten over the head with the bat if I did that, but do you see the difference? I mean, the second one, this baseball bat will make you move. What's the difference between the two? The verb to be suck the life out of that idea. Use flavorful words. They really work. Next. That's the first rule, and I've hardly asked you to try anything, but I guarantee you an instant change to your document if you get in the habit of trying to use flavorful verbs. Let's go to the next slide. Here's the second rule. Write the way you would to a neighbor or family member. Some of you might think that judges are pompous people. We go to bed in our shirts and tie. We're very formal. You know, we're just like you. As a matter of fact, we were lawyers. And we appreciate being spoken to in simple, easy, digestible terms. So speak the way you would to just an ordinary person. Slide. Look, compare this. X underwent 3 breath tests by means of a breath testing device. I read that sort of thing in my work all the time, and it's so turgid and stupid. It's like a space alien is talking, and it's just more words, and it's evasive and jarring and indirect. Compare X took 3 breath tests. Look, let me work in the idea of the neighbor. Suppose it's a Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, and Mary's your next-door neighbor, and Friday night, Charles across the street got picked up by the police and had to blow into the breathalyzer. And you say to Mary, who's working in her backyard, you say, "Hey, Mary, I got some gossip for you. Charlie across the street, he underwent 3 breath tests by means of a breath testing device." I mean, Mary's going to go in her house and lock the doors. You're going to frighten the heck out of her. Look, speak the way you would to a family member, to an ordinary person. Because when we're reading your work, we're just lawyers like you, but a little bit older and maybe a little bit more tired because we're old. So keep it simple. Next. On this, speaking to a neighbor, concentrate on the verbs and nouns and delete all these adjectives and adverbs. Compare these 2 sentences. She was very, very angry. Some people write their submissions that way. See if you can come up with a word that replaces very, very angry. So, she was enraged. You use a flavorful word like that, the judge may rip off your word and put it in her or his reasons. And how good does that look to a client? Next. Here's some other examples, quite puzzling. What about baffling? You know, thesaurus is a source for synonyms. Type synonym for X into your Google box and it will throw up synonyms for you. Find the right word. How about this? The witness intentionally testified untruthfully about the cargo. Listen, if the evidence shows they lied, say lie. I don't read stuff and go, they said the L word. No, it's clear. If you got the evidence, say it. How about this one? Maliciously took advantage of people with little money and limited intelligence. Goodness sakes. The agent preyed on the poor and innocent. If you come up with that phrase and the evidence supports it, the judge will rip off your words. Okay. I've just given you two simple rules, and I'm going to tell you right now, enormous gains in clarity, directness, and brevity, much more persuasive effect, and you're meeting all of my needs as the judge. At 9:30 at night, when I'm reading something, if I'm in an appeal court, so we tend to get stuff in advance, I read that and it sticks into my head, and I don't even have to review it before the hearing. I just say, oh, right, you said X. Sometimes I'll look at the other side and I say, they say X. Sounds right to me. What do you say? You know, you can really play adversarially, but very civilly with your colleague when you write properly. The last one, concentrate on connections. There are different ideas here. First of all, within a sentence, you want clarity, but when you have two sentences, you want clarity and clarity, and to make that, you have to think about connecting sentences. That plus element that joins the sentences. Concentrate on that. You want connections within sentences and between sentences. A couple of ideas for you. Glue sentences together. See if you can repeat a concept or, frankly, the same word in your second sentence from the first sentence. Glue them tightly. Legal writing can flow when you repeat words. Some say, oh, that's boring, and the judge will get boring. No, the judge will thank you for making it clear. So let's say you had 4 sentences in a paragraph. You want to join them, just like that Olympic sport with the running race, you know, with the batons, the 4x100 relay. You want the reader to pass from sentence to sentence to sentence like a knife through butter. And the way to do that is to join them. Sometimes you'll use words at the beginning, like therefore, however. These signal what your second sentence is going to do. But, you know, sometimes I read people and they'll say, the book was about a romance between 2 people, Bob and Janice. The novel is a real potboiler. Why did you switch to novel? It actually throws the reader just a bit. Again, you might be saying, what's the big deal? The problem is people who write this way do it all through their long document, and it creates a bad impression and sometimes confuses the reader. Next. Okay, that's all I want to tell you. Clear, direct, and brief. I not only instructed, I try to do it myself. If you want more information, and there's much more on offer, there is on ssrn.com a very long set of slides with more information that I hope will really help you in your work. And there's some books I happen to like. They've been influential in my development as a writer, and you can just flip through these slides, look at them at your own time. Some of them are now updated in more recent editions. If we go back a slide, if we could, just a couple, yeah, there we go. Plain English for Lawyers is really short, written by Richard Whittick, an American author. Of all of them, if you're looking for just a really good introduction that will help transform your writing quickly, I really recommend that. And that's all I have to say about writing. I wish you all the best in your good work. Try out these ideas. I bet you'll find they work. They certainly work for my colleagues. Best of luck to you in your important work. Thank you.